This changes everything for the San Antonio Spurs. Finally, the return of Devin Vassell, the Spurs guard star, and we have him coming back for our game today against the Utah Jazz, and we're going to break down what his impact will be and the keys to victory against the Utah Jazz tonight here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate everybody tuning into these videos, subscribing, all the comments, good, bad, in between. It's been great to interact with all of you guys. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment moving forward, because this season already has started with a lot of intrigue, and it's just about to get way more intriguing, especially with the return of Devin Vassell. Last year, 19.5 points, he was second leading scorer, only behind Victor Wembanyama, who had 21, who was over 21 last year. Going to make his debut versus the Utah Jazz. He's only missed 9 games this season, which we figured he would be missing about an eighth of the season roughly, and that's so pretty much what he has, an eighth to a ninth of the season fractionally. But what are we going to expect from him tonight? I mean, not a whole lot. It's good that he's going against not the greatest of teams in the Utah Jazz as his first game, because we do have some tougher games coming up here soon. But at the same time, any game he's in there is going to be great. It's a foot injury, so he's not going to be able to have the full wind under him. So I'm assuming he'll be on some sort of minutes restriction. Nothing has been determined. Like, he's only playing 22 to 24 minutes, but that's something that you can assume. I mean, in his career so far, it has just been going up and up and up. The production level, the points have increased every year. The field goal percentage has gone up every year, other than last year. But the 3-point percentage has improved. The rebounds have been staying the same the last couple years, and the assists have improved. So this guy is just showcasing year by year by year that he is a better player than the last year, and we assume that it's going to be much of the same this year, even though it'll take him a little bit to get within that grind, within the flow of things this season. And he's got a lot of new castmates. He's got Harrison Barnes. He's got Chris Paul. He's got Stephon Castle. He's got Jeremy Sochan, who's out right now, but obviously he played with Jeremy Sochan. He's taken on a bigger step and a bigger role for him this year. A little bit different Keldon Johnson. The rotations are going to be different. So one thing I'm super interested to see today is what are the rotations going to look like today and what they're going to look like moving forward, because the guard depth that we have is tremendous at this point. But a preview into the San Antonio Spurs versus the Utah Jazz. Of course, Devin Vassell is going to be making that return to the lineup and to the San Antonio Spurs for the season, and hopefully there's no other hiccups injury-wise for him. With that being said, the Spurs are 4-5, playing a 1-7 Jazz team. They look to get back to 500, so we're going to see what things are going to be like tonight. The offense has been a problem, and we're going to highlight that even more. They scored 118 last time against Portland. The bench had a great game. You had Keldon with 17. You had Malachi with 17, who also went down with an ankle injury. He's questionable for tonight. You had Castle with 14, not the bench, but Castle 14. You had Wemby over double digits. You had 8 people over double figures for the game. The Blazers, not a great team either, but it was a great team win, and it was one of those wins where you saw signs of improvement and you saw signs of togetherness from the San Antonio Spurs, which is all you can ask for at this moment in time right now. For these injuries, though, of course, as we know, Tre Jones has been out all season. Devin Vassell's probable. David Duke Jr. out. Harrison Ingram out. G League, those fine. Riley Minnick's G League. So you got 3 guys there who actually could be useful here in the future. The big one, Malachi Branham, he is questionable with that ankle. He hurt that towards the fourth quarter of last game against Portland. And then you have Jeremy Sochan, who had surgery on his thumb, and he's going to be out for several weeks at this point. We don't know really when his return date would be. I would assume early to mid-December, we would see him back. And then you've got Keyshawn George, who is a stud guard for them. He's questionable. And other than that, they don't have really too many big injuries on their injury report. So we're going to be getting 2 full rosters going in to this game. And speaking of, Devin Vassell's debut for things to watch out for. Be interesting to see the rust on Devin Vassell from the time recovering. Last year when he missed time, the Spurs played him off the bench, but it seems it can't be necessary to afford doing that this season with the starting lineup of Paul, Vassell, Champagnie, Barnes, and Wemby, who would be one of the best offensive units the Spurs could trot out. Conditioning may be an issue, but what's not going to be an issue is the feelings that Wemby has about the return of Devin Vassell. Victor Wembanyama said he is just really, really happy. It's going to be a pleasure seeing him having fun with us again. He also went on to say about Devin Vassell's return, of course, he's going to be a major part of our story. So we can't wait to get back to getting better together. And that's all you really can ask for, is being able to grow and get better. I mean, obviously Vassell's young, but that's Wemby's number 2. That's the guard. You got the guard and the big. That was them last year. They were able to work off of each other. I know they went 22-60, but the 2 bright spots of the entirety of the season were those 2. So Victor Wembanyama couldn't be more excited to get him along with the cast of other people that they've got this year. So the contributions and the rhythm that Vassell plays with, to see how he's going to integrate himself with this roster. Johnson's going to have an interesting time of how he's going to play these rotations now, because you have no Branham tonight, so that makes it easier. You have kind of like a guard switch player. You still have Vassell, you still have Paul, you still have Castle, you still have Wesley. So those are your 4 main guards as of right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that rotation goes. And when we get Tre Jones back and we get Branham back, who are we going to move off of? What are we going to do there? But that's not a tonight concern. That is a future concern. And then another what to watch for. What Wemby will we see? Of course, he is a force defensively, and we all know that. Offensively, he has been touch and go this season. He's just shooting a little over 23% from 3. Dominated the last time around the Jazz with an all-around game. We'll see if that's going to be more of the same this game. I mean, there's been a few comments about him so far. One anonymous guy, because people don't like to come out and reveal who says what and what says what. But one anonymous guy said that Wemby looks tired from playing 70-plus games last year in the NBA, then training for the Olympics and going on an Olympic run and getting to the finals, and then now coming back over. The man's 20 years old. I don't think it's tired. Obviously, I know I understand he's played a lot of basketball, but he is a 20-year-old guy who is a very, very gifted athlete. I think he's just in a little bit of a slump, and that's perfectly fine. The inconsistencies are there. It's a slump, a little bit of his own decision-making, and a little bit of the lack of strength that he has to bully some of these other people. There is that, and that is really the only concern with him. Another anonymous source. Again, all these anonymous sources can't just put a name to it. They said that Victor Wembanyama is a liability on offense, which I completely and vehemently disagree with. Don't know how he is a liability on offense at all. He is the best player on our team. He is the superstar. He is the guy. He's just been finding his own niche and his own identity right now offensively. He's obviously flirts with being a forward. People feel like he's a 7'4", 7'5" small forward, just really in height and just in the height of a center. Then you have him actually being a center because he's guarding all centers and everything. He's just got to find exactly where his niche is offensively, and things are going to light up for him. It's going to happen at some point this season. We just need to wait. We just need to watch. It's going to be okay with him. The third, can the bench build on a great performance? Of course, we had Zach Collins in double figures. We had Branham, Keldon Johnson, Wesley. They combined for about 61 points. Obviously, they're going to have a boost again because Castle's probably going to go back to the bench, obviously taking up for Branham. So you're still going to have that great bench unit that is young, spry, and able to get to the basket, able to play defense. So it's going to be interesting to see if the bench could build on that performance, because if we're going to be the team that we think we can be, which is above 500 playoff contending kind of team, we are going to need to be 8, 9, 10 deep on every given night, because we have the talent to do so. We've just got to go produce that talent. These are the 2 lowest scoring teams in the league. So one is because the Jazz shoot at the worst clip in the league. They are not that great offensively. The Spurs are, because they have no outside guard shooting depth. Like the shooting comes and goes with the guards, and they really don't have a guy who creates off the dribble consistently. Check Vassell. So that's why his impact is going to be so important on this game, but not even just this game, so much moving forward. This game, it's going to be really getting him into the flow of the offense, and his impact is going to be more of like a great receiver when you double team that receiver, because you know he is so great and so amazing that he can become decoys on plays, even though I think Vassell's going to produce tonight, but I don't think that it's going to be 35 points on a crazy night like he can give you on any given night when he's fully healthy. The next 4 games for the Spurs, so it's a great one for Vassell to come back to against the Jazz team that's not good. Then he plays a Kings team on Monday. That's going to be tough. But then he plays a Wizards team that's a lesser team. Then he starts the group play in the Emirates Cup. That's going to be against the Lakers. That one's going to be a tough game there. All of them at home, though, so there's going to be no travel for him. He's going to be able to rehab properly. So this is a great time to be able to bring him back. And last but not least, you've got the Spurs favored by 6.5 tonight. They're expecting, with this over being at 222, a 114 to 108-ish kind of game between the Jazz and the Spurs. I think that the Spurs can win this game around the 110 to 95. 96. I think this game, with the energy of Vassell being back, I understand there's no Branham, there's no Sochan, but with that energy of Vassell being back in the building at home, I think that the Spurs can get up to a quick lead and hold it off, and defensively, they're going to be able to stop the Utah Jazz, and they can win this game by upwards of 15 points and hold the Jazz under 100. But let me know what you guys think in the comments on what's going to happen in this game. How excited are you that Devin Vassell is back in the fold? And moving forward, do you think this is going to be the change and the jolt that we needed to get ourselves above 500 and truly be competing for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th spot in the playoffs and play-in? But this has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will be seeing you guys very soon.